Hello, everyone. How are you? Tonight, I am so honored to have a good friend coming on. Her name is Tamika Mallory. She is an activist. She is everything. And I'm just so proud of her. And I'm waiting for her to come on. And we are going to literally talk about life right now and what's happening in this nation. What's happening in Wisconsin, what's happening in Kentucky, what's happening in Portland, Oregon. Portland is now the ground zero, and I said it for a race war yesterday. Um, I don't know. It's interesting. We have to fight. We have to fight, and we have to remember. And I'm thinking about Ayanna Van Zant. We have to remember we're not our brother's keeper. We're not our sister's keeper. We're our sisters. So, guys, we need to remember that we have to fight for each other, no matter what capacity. That's my sister. No matter what capacity we're in, where we are, we have to fight. So, I want to welcome my dear friend, my activist friend, who who has moved to Kentucky um, to fight for Breonna Taylor and that issue of the no-knock warrant. And we're going to get into all of that tonight. This is important. Tamika, thank you so much. Tamika Mallory,
Thank
everyone.
you so much for having me, April. April is the living legend. For people that don't know, she's a living legend. We've watched you, April, go up against the big ones. The big ones, not the little ones, not the trolls online, as my sister Teslin would say, the ones that don't even use their real name. You up against the ones, the
The
real ones,
bots.
the big ones. So I love you and thank you so much for having me on.
I love you and thank you. And I'm on vacation. I'm actually with some of your girls,
Ah, my peeps.
your peeps. I'm with some of your peeps, and I'm in a ubiquitously clandestine place. But the news goes on, the information goes on, the fight continues no matter where. And this
Yeah.
is my first time out in 5 months. They were like, my children were like, "You need to go somewhere, mommy. You haven't been out the house." I have not been out the house in 5 months. So
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you, God. So you are moving with your mask. You are moving.
I have masks everywhere around this house.
You are, and you are currently basically residing in Kentucky. Talk about
I'm
that.
actually in New York right now. I came home. I tell everybody on every live that my mom had a massive stroke in early March, around the same time that Breonna Taylor was killed. My mom is a dance instructor for a number of dance classes in the Bronx and Co-op City. And she had a stroke and is now paralyzed on her left side. She's working through it. It's hopefully very temporary.
Mhm.
It's tough. And so her dance class had a social distancing event today in which they gave my mom an award. And my sister called me and said that I needed to come back from Kentucky to be here. I haven't actually been in New York now in 4 weeks, almost 4 weeks, since
Mhm.
August 8th. So
Mhm.
almost 4 weeks, 3 weeks, that I've been in Kentucky. And even before that, we were back and forth in Kentucky all the time. Like every 2 weeks, we were back and forth having different things. So it's been really rough. When my mom first had the stroke, of course, she was in the hospital, and then she went from the hospital to the rehab facility. In the hospital, it was right when COVID was shut, when they were just about to shut everything down. They let
Mhm.
my father lock into the hospital. But
Mm.
when she went to rehab, we weren't able to go with her. And she was there for many weeks without seeing her family. So she began to lose her mind. She started hallucinating. A lot of things, like COVID has had an impact on
COVID is a
people.
destroyer, girl.
Very,
COVID is a
it's
destroyer.
Yeah, it's not just about getting sick. The family effect, and even people who've never had it. Like, thank God no one in my family has been diagnosed with COVID, in my close family, as I cough, but I just had a test on Friday and I'm negative. But no one in our immediate family has tested positive for COVID, so thank God for that.
Mhm.
However, we've been impacted by it
Mhm.
very, very deeply, just in the ways in which we had to respond to my mom and to her being away from us. And she was unable, because of the stroke, to grasp the concept that we couldn't get in, because she was saying, you, Tamika, you know people, call people, like, how could you just leave me here? And that was a really painful thing. So since we got her home, which was in late May, we have been her full caregivers. We've done everything for her. And for me to pull out of the structure to go to Kentucky has left them with man down, so it's been
Yeah.
it's been rough. Yeah.
So you are fighting the fight, fighting the good cause for us in Kentucky, and dealing with your life and your mama and your family in New York. Oh my God.
Yep. And it's
So
been
guys,
hard. Yep.
yeah. So guys,
Go
we're
ahead.
talking to the great Tamika Mallory, who is an activist, who is on the front lines. I mean, she is out there marching. She's out there doing the thing, and she's in Kentucky, trying to get the police officers that went in with that no-knock warrant and essentially killed Breonna Taylor arrested, indicted, all of that stuff, and put in jail.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that effort. And my heart, let me say this to you. My heart goes out to you, because I know I lost my mama 13 years ago. And it's the biggest hurt in the world. And I remember going through being there for her. And it's not a day that I don't think about her, and particularly now. So I know how it is to be dealing and coping when you have a lot of other stuff going on as well. I was pregnant, working at the White House, running from the White House back to Baltimore, caring for her for 6 months. I get it. But I'm going to tell you something. You find out how strong you are in the midst of this.
You do.
You find out how strong you are.
You do.
And we already knew you were strong, but you are something. And we send love to your mom. And I'm going to do something for you after this later on. But so Tamika, cousin, during my live,
I'm surprised mine hadn't cut us off. I was thinking about changing the phone, but let's see how we get this done.
Yeah, so let's talk about Kentucky, the state of Kentucky. What is going on right now? Talk to me. What's in play right now? Is there any effort? Is there any movement to get the indictment of these officers? What's happening?
Well, first of all, let me tell you this new news. We can back it up from this point, but today we've learned that in July, the officials there tried to give the original young man, because remember, there's a guy who's at the center of this that we often don't hear about. This is the guy who at some point Breonna was dating or passively seeing. Maybe she was dating him. I mean, obviously the phone records have come out to say that she's told him she loved him and they had a relationship. This young man is implicated in a drug ring, and the police used a no-knock warrant that they lied on to be able to get into her house while they claimed they were looking for his drugs and money. But today we learned that in a plea deal, they asked him, Jamarcus is his name, to say that Breonna Taylor was one of the people involved in the ring, and that they would give him probation if he did that.
So they're trying to smear her name now.
They've been trying to, this has been going on for the last week and a half. They've been, looking for ways to back out of all of this by trying to, accuse her of being a drug dealer, basically. And so what they've done is they tried to corner him, that if he would take this plea deal and implicate her and lie on her, that they would give him probation. And he said no, he wouldn't do it. He said that, he would fight the 10 years that I think it's either the plea deal or he could receive 10 years in prison. And he said that he would prefer to take that time before he lies on Breonna. And
thank you for not lying on this woman. She's dead.
Thank you, because she's deceased, right? She's deceased. So some people might have done it because they would have said, well,
because that's the easy way
out. She
out.
could go to jail, right? It's the easy way out. but he know what he knows, April, is that Brianna, and based upon the time that I've been there, and listen, I've fought for victims in the past that have not been so squeaky clean, right? So let's be clear that I'm not a clean victim activist, because that is often, unfortunately, it's not the case. Like sometimes our people, you know, we grew up in certain situations where we got a lot of baggage and things with us, and if somebody is wrongfully killed, then we have no, we can't not deal with one of God's children, and we claim that we're supposed to be real leaders and truly compassionate about our people and our issues. And so I found myself dealing with some crazy situations. But in this situation, April, I have spent the last several months since May with this young lady's family, with Brianna's family, and learning more about her. Breonna Taylor was a beautiful young woman. She was a beautiful young woman. On the phone, in the phone records where Jamarcus calls her a few times, and you know the wiretaps are out, she says to him, you know, it worries me when you come around. I'm worried for you. I'm worried about these things. It's very clear from the ways in which she is speaking that she is not involved in any illegal activity whatsoever. But like many of us, she has a relationship with a friend who she's trying to tell, you know, get your life together, you know, and now she's dead. And there's no excuse for it, period. So
And and let's stop there. You are absolutely right. We can't say, oh, well, she was in the wrong place. How many of us, oh my gosh,
come
you know,
on.
no matter how high you go, you always got that one that you care for, your heart bleeds for, or, you know, you see potential, you see greatness in them that they don't even see. And then she got caught.
But white people have the same stuff. Like the thing I'm saying is we're not alone. We're not alone.
No,
everybody has a
but
nephew.
Because we are black, let's say
because we're black,
we're automatically assumed to
That's
be
it.
not worthy. We are automatically assumed to be criminals. We're automatically assumed to be whatever the negative is without the benefit of the doubt. So let's put that on the table.
On the table.
Yeah.
Right. It's just it's your skin color, not your situation. Because we know that we got white guys out here and girls that had the boyfriend that, or the cousin, somebody's on drugs, and by the way, that goes all the way up to the top, because the
somebody
current
used to
president,
sell drugs, not
right?
just
Somebody used to
drugs,
sell drugs. Exactly. Yeah. The current occupant in the White House, all his friends is criminals. Everybody. So ain't nobody running up in the White House with a no.
Wait a minute. Not only you say all his friends are criminals, a lot of them going to jail now. A lot of them, you know. So that's a whole other
and
thing.
Implicating him along the way.
And he wants to be president again, but that's a whole nother story.
That's a different day.
So what? Okay, so now, so today we're seeing, and I'm gonna go back. We're gonna talk about today, but we're gonna go back to the night this happened, because there's so many different tales to the story, and this is what I want to put out there.
Yeah.
So today, where are we today as it relates to any officers being indicted, about the questions about this no-knock warrant and how this was all carried out? Where are we today?
So the Attorney General, Daniel Cameron, who happens to be a black man, who is a Republican, not just a Republican, because we got Republican friends. That's not our issue. He's a Trump-loving Republican. He has said that Kentucky would be Trump town in some of his speeches. He spoke at the Republican National Convention the other night and was like third to last. And you know, when you get to be third to last, that's a big spot.
That's the lead up into the key speaker of the evening. So you are the strategic placement.
That's strategic placement, right? So this is who this guy is. He came out, I think,
Kentucky
yesterday.
is also Mitch McConnell's.
And I forgot. How could I forget that? He's Mitch McConnell's mentee. Mentee has worked with him, very close to him. There's a lot of personal pictures and things out there of him. So that puts you in the mind of the type of individual we're dealing with.
And this is, and Tamika, we're not being extra about this because we're seeing police officers now being held accountable in 2020 for these kinds of actions, wrongful actions. You know, George Floyd. I mean, I'm from Baltimore. I remember when Freddie Gray, who was wrongfully arrested and died in the police van, and Marilyn Mosby tried to indict, well, she did indict the police officers, but they said it was an overreach, and there was no charge. There was no accountability. That was how many years ago? And now today people are learning. The tide is changing, but Kentucky is the holdout.
Kentucky is the holdout. So he released a statement today because there was a whole thing. Everybody's waiting. He's had the case for 5 months. Everybody's waiting. Well, it hasn't been 5 months, 3 months. She's been gone. She's been dead for 3 months. She was murdered 3 months ago. 5 months ago, sorry. And so he's had this case for all of this time. And people have been waiting. And then all of a sudden, a few weeks ago, it comes out. He says he didn't have the ballistics report. So it was going to take some more time. So now he has the ballistics report. Last week, he said he's just getting some of these things and that people should not expect any response or an indictment or even his statement. That was last week. This week, he released another statement saying he now has the ballistics report. He's still looking through it. I think I read somewhere, I read somewhere, but I'm not 100% sure if this is accurate. So people should check it out. But I read somewhere that he said that it's inconclusive at this point and that he still has more investigation to do. So what we see happening is that they are basically trying everything possible to figure out if people will bite. So first we put out the what do you call it? The phone records, the wiretaps. And we'll see whether or not the public is swayed by us showing that he spoke to Breonna 6 times in one day, or that he went by her house, or that she told him she loved him. We'll see whether or not that kind of sways them. Then when that didn't work
or not, she was there. She was killed while what does it?
And he wasn't even in the house. So they tried that.
Or whatever they were doing has nothing to do with the police.
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So they tried that. That didn't work. So now this week they're trying, well, not so much this week, but this week it comes out that they tried to give the boyfriend or the ex-boyfriend, whatever he is, it's not my place to say because I'm not sure. And her family members.
It's not our business.
It's not our business. And that's why I don't know, because I've never actually taken the time to really get into it. But I have heard her mother say that Breonna only had 2 real boyfriends in her life, Kenny Walker, the guy who shot the gun, and one other boyfriend, and this may have been somebody that she was seeing. So we ain't gonna talk about that no more.
So the guy who shot the gun, they've had conversations.
No, this is the guy who shot the gun is her current boyfriend that she's living with at the time. So this week, So this week,
but you were saying the conversations about whether they were
actually together, right? Her and the other guy. So long story short, just to get things really clear, the next thing that it seems like they were trying to do was to be able to get this guy to lie, because when they can't find like a way to cover up everything, the next thing they do is try to get somebody else to lie. And so that's what they've done. All of it has failed. So at this point, the case is open and Daniel Cameron is standing right there in the middle of it. He's either going to indict or he's not. And I feel like at this point, he's told the family members that he wants to do what's right, that he, that he cares. And in fact, Ben Crump and Attorney Ben Crump and Attorney Lanita Baker have said that they do not feel that he was heartless. They sat with him, they met with him, and they did not feel that the Attorney General was heartless. So that's great. That makes me feel good to hear that. It has now been 5 months, April, since this young lady was killed. It is time for a decision to be announced about an indictment or not, so that you can allow whatever is going to play out from that to happen. If the feds need to get more involved, then let that happen. But don't block progress towards justice.
So Ben Crump said he met with the Attorney General saying he's not heartless. But at the end of the day, if he's not heartless, what, like you said, why is it 5 months? What is the pressure? What is the political pressure, the internal pressure? Kentucky is a very red state. Kentucky is one of its leaders is Mitch McConnell. This is not about politics. This is about humanity. This is about a person. Even if there was wiretaps and investigation, something went wrong. The police,
right.
That's fact. Even if there was a wiretap, even if they were trying to find out love, not love, what's the connection? This is a process that went awry. This no-knock warrant went awry.
Period.
So why isn't there anyone holding anyone accountable? And so let's go back. Let's tell the story. Let's tell the story. Tell us
from the night, from the first night.
Yeah, from the first night.
So basically, the cops had been executing search warrants all day on March 13th. They were looking for Jamarcus, first of all, and then other members of this drug ring that they claim it was a drug ring. And to be clear, no one has been convicted of anything at this point. It is still an ongoing process. So we have to be real careful about what we say and how we categorize things and catch, and what do you call it? What's your smart words that you use? Anyway, I can't think of it in this moment, but I'm gonna think about it and
how we indict them before they are
how we
indict
indicted. Before people are indicted. Characterize.
We have to allege things. That's what, yes.
Alleged drug ring, right? How we characterize things. So, because you my smart friend, and so
I'm a news person. That's it. But go ahead.
But and so that night at 12:30 at night, they went to Breonna Taylor's home to execute a search warrant that we now know for sure had a number of lies on it when it was given to the judge. The judge signed it based upon suspicious packages that were supposedly reported from the post office. And the post office has since come out to say they never, ever reported suspicious packages going to her home, that has not happened. You want to say something?
So wait a minute, who's saying the post office? Because
the police department has applied for a no-knock warrant. And in order to get it, they had to give a judge an application. The application has the reasons why we need the search warrant. One of the most important reasons, is that there is suspicious packages being delivered to Breonna Taylor's home, and
mail, through the U.S. Postal Service, allegedly.
Through the U.S. Postal Service, and that the Postal Service has reported it. So not just that they think it's happening. Okay, they're lying, saying the post office said. The post office comes out and say, whoa, we never said that. We've never reported that. And they went as far as to say, not only are we saying we never reported it, we never suspected anything to be happening like that. Okay, so they go there, they execute this warrant. Everyone around, I'm not even gonna tell you what Kenny says. The neighbors say they heard a knock. And so again, to back that up, of course, Kenny says, and they heard a knock. The neighbors say they hear who is it, but they never hear a response. There was never, this is, officer so-and-so open up, LMPD open up, none of that. Now we've heard the cops. I lived in the hood my whole life. When they come and they're announcing themselves, it's the police. Boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
Open up, NYPD,
yes.
Open now. Get down, None of that happened. If that happened, the neighbors would have said that's what they heard, April. Mm-hmm. They didn't hear it. So Kenny is saying, who is it? He says that Breonna, they're saying, who is it? Nobody responds. And the next thing you know, the door swings open because they hit it with the battery ram. So they broke the door down. When they broke the door down, Kenny fires a shot. And it's, very clear, I think, from some of the ballistics reports, like the preliminary reports, that he shot down towards the ground. They say that the bullet ricocheted and hit an officer in his leg, and that they returned fire into the home to the tune of 30 plus shots that went into other people's homes, including a 5-month-old baby who was sleeping in an apartment upstairs. Just shooting wild. Like they're in a movie or something. Shooting through windows that had blinds closed, curtains closed, so they don't know what they're shooting at, any of that. So Kenny is now inside the house. Brianna gets hit. He has obviously had contact with her, tried to, figure out her situation. Kenny says that she was gasping, she was trying to get herself together, but it's just sad to hear his story, saying that she was calling for her mom. And so Kenny is now inside yelling, my girlfriend needs help. My girlfriend needs help. But they refuse at this point to come inside, which we know as protocol, because they feel that somebody is armed on the other side of the door. So in the midst of all of this, Breonna Taylor is dying. Now, to go backwards even beyond this, she's sleeping in her bed. This girl has two jobs. So she's sleeping in her bed. And
she's one of the heroes that was out trying to help us.
Out helping people, working in an emergency room, helping people, and an EMT. So she's sleeping. They knock on the door. It wakes her up. She goes to the hallway. She's asking, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? Nobody responds. Kenny they bang the door, kick it down, open it up or whatever. Force entry. Kenny shoots once. They claim the bullet hit the officer's leg, but there's been no conclusive ballistics on that yet. Not that I have seen. And then Breonna is killed. Kenny goes outside eventually, and there's a video on my page where you can see Kenny coming outside the house, and they are literally looking for one thing, anything to shoot him. They're like, keep your hands up, walk backwards. I mean, this is almost like we're in the they're apprehending a terrorist. This is the way in which they are acting, and he is crying, saying, "But my girlfriend needs help. My girlfriend's been shot. My girlfriend's in it," and they are screaming at him to back up into them. So they arrest him. They do nothing really for Breonna for some period of time. Her mother shows up because Kenny has now called, since Breonna's been shot and he's inside the house. He's making phone calls to his mother, her mother, and other individuals to tell them what's happening. Breonna's mother has been informed that there's a shooting. She comes to the house. When she gets there, April, the cops send her knowing that her child is inside the house. They sent her to the hospital. So now she goes back and forth to the hospital trying to find her daughter. Finally, she goes back to the house because the hospital is like, she is definitely not here. So she goes back to the house. She's saying, where's my daughter? What's going on here? And an officer who knows that this woman has been killed by his colleagues, by fellow officers, looks at the mother and says, is there anyone who will want to kill your child? Is there anyone else?
So they're trying to say somebody else did it.
And so she's like, no. So finally she finds out that her daughter is inside the home dead, shot.
But when I heard they sent her to the hospital, and she hadn't even been moved to the hospital.
She went to the hospital back and forth. She's running around on a wild.
No, I'm talking about Breonna. Breonna had been sent to the hospital, and the mother was told to go to the hospital.
Yeah,
and Breonna was still in the house.
I don't know about that part, because I think Breonna was dead on the scene. Like they had
and they told the mother when the mother tried to find out.
Yeah.
Oh, she's at the hospital.
She's at the hospital.
And the mother ran to the hospital, and she wasn't there. She was still in the house.
And this was more than once. She's running around looking for her daughter around town, and her daughter's dead inside the home,
in the house, and they send her to other places,
and then had the audacity to ask her, is there anybody that would want your daughter dead? It's heavy.
in 2020, and people want to know why you get up there and say Black Lives Matter, and you stare down people or argue them down when they say, oh, all lives matter. All lives do matter, but when there is a target on the back of people of color, and there's cover-ups, lies, corruption about it, you aren't hearing about this in other communities.
You just don't. You just don't.
And this has been going on for 401 years since they brought us here to this nation, policing in the community. So the reason why there's a distrust, it's not just from Trayvon with a vigilante. It's not just from Emmett Till with vigilantes. It's not just about Eric Garner with the chokehold, I can't breathe. It's not just about Freddie Gray. It's not just about Walter Scott. It's not just about Ahmaud Arbery. It's not just about Amadou Diallo. Remember that name?
Back all the way from then. That was when I got involved. Amadou Diallo.
I remember that. And then that was like my early reporting years.
Yeah.
In Baltimore, coming out of Baltimore. It goes back 401 years when the authority over the slaves were the sheriffs, policing.
That's right.
You know, so, and it's continued and continued. And now they even bringing in the post office. We've heard, and this is, when you said post office, I'm like, post office?
What is that? What do they have to do with this?
Right. And then we're hearing all this stuff about the post office again. It's too much. So at the end of the day,
I never thought about that.
You didn't? I'm sitting here like, we're hearing all this about the post office and how we got to vote. And now the post office they're implicating the post. The post office is not the enemy. It's those who are trying to corrupt it.
Right.
You didn't think about that? Because I'm like, why now the post office is involved like it's involved in other stuff?
That's powerful.
Ooh. And so now, so my question is, you're going to the court of public opinion trying to put pressure on this. They're quiet. Their silence is deafening. But my question is, when is when? When is this going to break? Because this is definitely, let's just say, even if there was something going on, the way the police carried this out was wrong. It was wrong.
It was wrong. No, that's why I said.
And I'm not even going to say, I'm not saying that she was wrong, but I'm just saying the procedure was wrong.
The procedure
no knock warrant was not followed the way it was supposed to be. Breonna Taylor should be alive. All those bullets going through the shades and into the room where the baby was.
What's the guy's name that shot the protesters in Kenosha, Wisconsin?
Let's go there.
He's alive.
Rittenhouse. Let's go, because I want to share something with you.
Yeah.
Let's go there. And guys, this is what we're dealing with. And this is, okay, listen to this. I posted something on my Twitter. Christian fundraising site Give, Send, Go at Give, Send, Go has earned over $250,000 for Kenosha killer Kyle Rittenhouse. So
Rittenhouse. Christian
fundraising site Give, Send, Go. This 17-year-old boy.
Yeah.
I don't know where his parents were. I got an 18-year-old. I don't even, when she gets stuff, when she wants to buy, I know everything. When she wants to go somewhere, I know where she's going. I give her permission. What she's driving, what she's wearing, all that stuff. This 17-year-old goes from Illinois. My child can't go out the front door without me knowing.
Without you asking what's going on.
This child comes out of Illinois with military, an AK, whatever. Goes to Wisconsin, open carry for 18 and above. Shoots 2 dead. Then messes the arm, shoots the arm off of another one. Because he's mad about Black Lives Matter. And then folks got mad at me talking about this is a race war. It's now eye for an eye. And that's not right. Don't give me, none of this is right. People are tired of Breonna Taylor, Freddie Gray, George Floyd,
Tamir Rice, Ahmaud Arbery, Pam Turner,
and the list goes
Rakia
on.
Boyd.
Sandra
I can go
Bland.
on, literally, Stephon Clark. Do you want Mike Brown? I mean, I could go on here for at least an hour.
Trayvon Martin.
Trayvon Martin.
And that was another case. Wasn't George Zimmerman's father a judge?
See? And some people are saying in your comments that what's his name? What y'all say his name?
Rittenhouse.
Rittenhouse. I can't. His name won't stick in my head. But
that's for a reason, because
his mother,
it's foreign to your nature.
It's I can't even. Ooh. That his mother drove him.
His mama drove him?
That's what I saw that too, but I didn't know if it was true. But people are saying it in your comments. Yeah, his mother drove him there.
See, okay, so Sean Bell, that's right. Thanks. Say their names.
Sean Bell, that's right. Say the names, y'all.
Here's my name. Yes, call out the names, y'all, because we're going to give voice to the names. It's not just a victim on a blotter. These are people who lost their lives, and families are ripped apart. So if indeed, and I'm not going to go into Philando Castile, that's right.
Ramarley Graham.
Yes. I'm not even going to, I don't want to go into hypotheticals or something that's not true, but we need to find out. But if whoever was involved,
yeah,
they need to be charged as well. And then a Christian website is going to go for funding for it. I can't. So anyway, and at the very least, when we say Black Lives Matter is just very minimal. What is a good word to say? Black lives are relevant. Black lives are important. Matter is just minimal. And they having a problem with that. I don't like the word tolerance, because it's like I'm stomaching this even though I don't like this. I'm doing it even. We got to figure something out, people. And this hate, I said yesterday on CNN, Tamika, Elijah McCain, thank you for sharing that sweet.
Look, they're saying a lot of names here too. Rashard Brooks and
yes.
Corin Gaines.
Call out the names. This is where we can. But I'm going to say this, yesterday people got angry. Some people got angry, and other people like, you did right. I was angry. I was upset when I said this president has stoked the flames of a race war, ground zero, Portland, Oregon. And I'm not taking it back.
No, that's true. That is true. Well, what was the part to be mad about?
What color are they? What do they do? And this president is stoking the flames. Trump loyalists are out there with guns.
Black
or white, Black Lives Matter is fighting for Black equality.
It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. And guess what? I was listening to the news the other night while I'm laying down. I wasn't looking at the TV, but I hear this man saying there was conflict that Kyle Rittenhouse was trying to manage. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. Apparently, the prosecutor, somebody said that's or his lawyer or something. No, I don't know.
It was the chief. It was the police chief. It was the police chief.
Yes. He said, he came there to calm the situation. First of all, what's a 17-year-old going to do when adults can't do it?
With a gun, with an AR.
Let me tell you something. And then police driving down the street, hands up with open carry. They ain't stopping, but they coming after us.
Oh, yeah.
There's hypocrisy here. There's inequality here. And you know what? And let me tell you this. Guys, if you're challenging the system of democracy, President Trump heralded women's suffrage. That was a protest against women not voting.
That's right.
That was democracy.
That's right.
What's different with that and Dr. King asking for equality? It's the peaceful march. He supported women's suffrage, and they marched in numbers too big to ignore. Supported that protest, but when it comes time for us to stand in front of the White House, people, when I say us, people look like us, and people who are supporting us, they're tear-gassed and tanked. So you can't have one without the other.
And rubber bullets shot at you. They really want to shoot us with real bullets.
Who've been injured by those rubber bullets.
Oh, no. When we were out in Minneapolis, first of all, Portland may be ground zero today, but Minneapolis was ground zero on, when George Floyd was killed, because I was
Ferguson
there.
Was ground zero.
Right. I was there. I was standing in the middle of the street, and around me, the rubber bullets and the tear gas and everything was hitting us. And I will never forget this for the rest of my life. Linda, my partner, we kind of got separated for a second. And she comes back to me crying, just sobbing because the woman standing next to her was shot in the eye with a rubber bullet and she was bleeding all over.
Mm.
So, you know, so for some people, this is all things they watch on TV, they hear about it, and they can turn it off at the time that, you know, they're going into their kitchen to cook their dinner and get with their family. They're like, I'll go back to CNN, MSNBC later. When they come back, it may be a commercial or CNN has changed the topic, or, you know, these stations. Some people are out there living this stuff every second of their lives, April. There are young people who are actually experiencing the terror that is the response to Black genocide. They're dealing with it every single day. And I talk to these young people. I'm not even in as deep as some of our youngins are. They're out there all day and night.
No, you deep anytime you move to a whole nother community and your mom is sick and you trying to still fight for us. You deep in it, no matter what you think. So somebody said, can we talk about those categories that Rittenhouse fit in and how they relate to police departments? He fits in. He killed 2 people.
He's a murderer. He's a white supremacist.
Yeah, hate crime. Hate crime. The question is, will they call this a lynching? Because they're trying to expand the lynching. If lynching was a federal, it was a federal law against lynching, he probably would be charged with that.
Considered charged with that. What about illegal firearm?
Right. No, but not just illegal firearm.
Underage, because the state is 18 for open carry. He was 17. And my question is the transport of the gun. Across state lines.
Over state lines, right.
That's right. That's right.
So,
and did you see him beating up the girl?
Stomping out he killed 2 and injured 1. But he's Satan spawn. He's Satan spawn. And then these religious people want to pay for his whatever. And what are they doing? You know, touch not my anointed. What is it? Love thy neighbor as thyself. It doesn't qualify or quantify what your neighbor looks like or is.
Meanwhile, since we've been in Kentucky, they have helicopters and unmarked cars following us all around town every day.
I know they are, and you need to be careful. You need to be careful.
We're careful. We're pretty careful.
So let's talk about Portland. We've talked about Rittenhouse. Before we leave Wisconsin and go to Portland. So the governor of Wisconsin doesn't want the president to come tomorrow.
And the president has said he's not going to meet with Jacob Blake's family. It's a real mess.
You know why? Because Jacob Blake's father said on CNN, he said he called President Biden and Vice President Harris. He called them out. And now the president's upset. Yes, the president is petty. He's petty. And you know he's petty. Guys.
Lord have mercy.
And the reason why he pushed the protesters back, like he said, because they had to take him in the bunker of the White House because there was a fear of people breaking the barricade and getting into the White House. His security was compromised. Also, the president has said that if Joe Biden, and I said this before, people are like, why is she fighting Oscar? Because the president said this. And he's petty like this. If Joe Biden wins, he is not leaving easily from the White House.
Yep. And you've been saying that.
You've been saying orange knuckling the resident desk while Joe Biden is delivering the state, while he's accepting, while he's taking the oath of office for the inauguration on January 20th, 2021. These are times, guys, unprecedented times. Democracy is at stake.
It is.
Listen to this. I'm not making this up. We're not making this up. And this is the reason we need to see what's happening tonight, what's happening to the state of America. Black people are part of America. We are part of we the people who are still forming a more perfect union. We're going through some serious growing pains. And don't let people believe that the words that people say, oh, they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. Because what the Trump president, someone said, I'm not going to blame President Trump for this. But someone said about the protesters, they built nothing. They up here protesting and they did nothing to contribute to this country. That's a lie. We built every part of this country. The
Absolutely.
slaves built the White House.
Absolutely.
The
And most
slaves.
of us are protesting and still going to work every day, still managing whatever our responsibilities are in this very moment while we're out here on the streets. So that's a damn lie.
So, and mind you, a lot of these institutions that we can't get into, we built, our ancestors built. These philanthropists, early philanthropists, gave to these institutions off the backs of the slaves, the free labor who were working the sugarcane fields.
Right.
You know, so if you want to start talking reparations and all that, yeah, let's talk. And you don't want it. Let's really give the facts. Let's not go through revisionist history.
Right.
Let's really go through the facts. So someone said slaves built New York. Slaves built everything.
Everywhere.
Okay. Everything.
Everywhere.
Everything. So all right, so Wisconsin.
So now there's a narrative that they're trying to create with the violence. I think it's a coordinated effort. When I watched Rittenhouse, when they showed the footage of him after the shooting has happened, and he's doing all of these hand movements and directives to people. And of course, when they put out the stories about who he is, the first thing they said was that he was cleaning graffiti before the shooting, that he had been doing community service. It's
say
like,
this again. I'm sorry.
How do they get
this again? Because my phone. Okay,
so,
go ahead.
So I said that they're trying to create a narrative. They're trying to create a narrative. And I sense that this is coordinated because the young Rittenhouse, this young guy, when he was after the shooting and you see the footage of him on the streets, he's doing like hand signs and directing people, and he's way comfortable as someone who just shot
Too
people.
Comfortable.
He's very comfortable.
And someone reminded, and it reminds me of what they did with Mother Matt Dylan Roof.
Dylan Roof.
They gave Rittenhouse water, and Dylan Roof they gave Burger King. But the sad piece about it is we don't live to tell the tale to get anything. Exactly.
Yeah. And so what I'm bringing that up to say that it seems to me the white supremacists have gotten together somewhere in a closed group or open group, because we do see some places where they are coordinating using certain social media platforms.
What's this thing they do? What is that?
That little sign, exactly, that thing. And what they're trying to do right now is place this dark cloud over the protest and say they're violent, it's dangerous, stay home, Black Lives Matter is dangerous. They're doing that on purpose to try to turn people off so that less people will come out into the streets, because Trump needs to calm the streets before the election. So long as the protesters are out and the media is covering it, there's always going to be a way for us to tell the story and to shine a light on the Breonna Taylors of the world. So he needs these protests to calm down. And now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I didn't say that Trump was involved. I'm just saying, out of nowhere, these guys, these people are showing up at protests, shooting people and causing mayhem. Remember first, they started with the looting. We found out that a number of the people who were actually looting were not down with Black Lives Matter at all.
Right.
We saw some white women burn down the Wendy's. Okay. So that was something. And again, social media is helpful on both sides, because for us, we've been able to prove where these outside agitators are coming into the protest causing havoc. Well, the same thing happened to us, April, when they gave us a felony for sitting on Daniel Cameron's lawn singing "We Shall Overcome." The one thing that happened was we were able to show that the white supremacists they hung an effigy. They lynched an effigy to a tree on the governor's property. They were not arrested. They obviously didn't receive felonies, but we got felonies for sitting on the attorney general's property, right? But the second thing that happened because they tried to say that we were violent protesters, that we were trying to, and the charge that the felony that they tried to give us was that we were intimidating a participant in a legal proceeding. Okay. The attorney general, anyway. And
They're gonna come
so
up with a lot of good
they
stuff
come up
against
with all kinds of
y'all.
stuff. But the thing that worked for us is we had video footage to show that we trained people in nonviolence before we went out to the rally. We had video footage to show that when people tried to step to Daniel Cameron's windows, like they were trying to look in, you saw the leadership of Until Freedom saying, come back, you know, come away from the windows. We kept people together. We kept everything safe and orderly. But they are sending people into the protest to change the flow to as agitators. And then the next thing you know, the storyline is Black Lives Matter is dangerous. We're looters and we're violent. And they know that that's not true, but it's working for some people.
So I do know for a fact the NAACP is very concerned about people who are posing as Black Lives Matter, people causing ruckus,
Right.
and they're not the Black. So guys, for the ones who are out here fighting and looting and all that stuff, that's not the Black Lives Matter protest group.
Right.
There are people infiltrating, trying to cause friction. You got a president that has said this is going to get worse. He is supporting this anti-demonstration movement.
That's right.
With neo-Nazis, the alt-right these extremists, these terrorist groups, domestic terror. Who brings a gun to something? That's terror, to threaten, to scare people. That's a terror tactic. Okay. Yep. And then going to shoot. They brought, I saw paint guns. They were shooting paint guns at people. Any kind of gun you put up out of the back of a pickup truck and point it at somebody, it's going to terrify you. Okay. We are in the midst of race wars. Okay.
Right.
Karen Boykins Towns is on here. She was supposed to be in the room with me, but she wants to say hi. She said correct. And so she's the national vice chair of the board of the NAACP.
Right. That's
but
my sister.
This is domestic terrorism.
It is.
This is racism. And a race war right now is ground zero in Portland, Oregon. It might be white brothers and sisters. It may be Asian brothers and sisters fighting against these loyalists of the president who wants to suppress democracy.
Not only does he want to suppress democracy, April, he just allowed the husband and wife, the couple that was on their lawn with the guns pointed at my friends, Tori Russell and them in St. Louis, who were protesting. They had guns pointing at those protesters. Okay. And then, and I don't even know that there is any history of the Trump administration having a relationship with this couple, this white couple that threatened to kill protesters who were nonviolent, but they all of a sudden became speakers at the RNC.
They got one now. They were speakers of the RNC. Yes, they were. And why? First of all, it is undemocratic for either party, Democrat or Republican, to refuse someone's right to peacefully protest and say, I don't like this. Protesting makes things better.
That's absolutely right.
You support women's suffrage. And then you denounce this. You can't have it both ways.
That's right.
So at the end of the day, we only have 5 minutes left. And I want to ask you a question. In the midst of this, and this is very important, I am such a pro-voter. When I say pro-voter, I am so pro-vote because I am just a few years from, I was born in 1967. My parents regaled me about all of it. I'm not far removed from the march in 1963. The March on Washington. I'm not far removed from the Civil Rights Act. I'm not far removed from the Voting Rights Act. But I was in existence during the Housing Act. When the Fair Housing Act was put in place, I was in existence. I was alive when Dr. King was killed. I was a few months old. So at the end of the day, all of this is for each one of us to be equal, each one of us to be represented, our voice to be heard. And one of the tools in the toolkit, Tamika, is the vote. I need you to talk to me about this moment and those who are saying withhold the vote, because I don't agree with it. I'm taking the journalism hat off. As a Black person, I don't agree with that. What do you say to that?
Yeah, no, we can't withhold the vote. I don't agree with that. I've never supported withholding the vote, even, you know, in other elections when I have been, which, by the way, I'm not happy with the choices we have in this particular moment either. But I'm
But you're
not,
going to do what?
but I'm definitely going to vote. And not only am I going to vote, because I always vote, I'm going to encourage Lottie Dottie and everybody, not just to vote, but to get other people to vote also. Everybody has to go to the polls. And what I explained to someone yesterday, because, you know, I understand the frustration. I really do. And when I see a statement come out of the Biden camp that says, we condemn all the violence, and both sides basically saying the same type of craziness that Trump said after Charlottesville. Like, you know, both sides, we condemn all violence. Stop doing that. Contextualize what's happening in this moment, because it is not that people are just violent on all sides. It's that people are being, there's an instigation of violence going on towards a particular group. And when you see that, you understand, because I'm telling you, as soon as the statement came out, my text messages started blowing up with people just being like, you see why I can't get with these folks? But what I have been trying to explain to people is that no matter what, we're still going to have to fight for our rights. We always have had to. Every single thing that you just named, Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act, the Fair Housing Act, none of those things were won just because we went to vote.
Brown versus Board.
In fact, we were fighting people who were on the other side. But we have to ask ourselves, do we want to fight Trump? We can't even get anybody on the telephone in the Trump administration to have a sane conversation with. At least we know for sure that when we put Biden and Kamala Harris in office, we will be able to have sensible conversations and hopefully move them closer to where we need them to be. We cannot leave an insane psychopath, wannabe fascist as the head of this country. It just can't. 180,000 people are dead because a man with an ego and just a criminal overall was too childish and corrupt to pay attention to the fact that a virus was breaking out all around us, and that America needed to do something to protect its citizens, and therefore 180,000 people are dead. We cannot afford Donald Trump as the president of the United States. We can't afford him. He's too expensive.
So at the end of the day, everyone, you got to get out there and you got to vote. And I'm going to say this, it's unfortunate that the post office is going through what it's going through. Like former First Lady Michelle Obama said, vote early. And I'm going to encourage you to call your Board of Election Supervisors in your community. The Board of Election Supervisors in your community, and find out how to register early to vote. And also not go through the post office. Take that ballot to that ballot box outside the Board of Election Supervisors. I don't want to deal with the post office at this point. It's unfortunate, but I don't want to do it. And you just heard Tamika talk about the post office is involved allegedly in this situation in Kentucky with Breonna Taylor. The post office is inundated with trying to save itself from this president. They've taken hostage the mailboxes off the streets. The sorting machines are right. People's medicine in the mail is not coming on time. People's checks are not coming on time. We have to stand up and do what you have to. So at the end of the day, Tamika, we've gone over time, and I could talk to you forever.
I know we have to do it again. I'm getting ready. I'm sorry. I was saying.
Did I lose you?
In your comments, I have received at least 7 different remedies for dealing with this cough. And for those people who just joined, I have been tested just 2 days ago. My test results came back negative, so I don't think I have COVID. I expect though.
And when you even have a common cold, you get kind of
you're nervous. You're nervous. That's just the truth.
Yeah, and
we're also out in crowds. The work that we're doing has to be done. I know some people have said, you know, y'all shouldn't be gathering, and you're 100% right. It's not something that we should have to do at all. But at the end of the day, if there's no resistance out here against what we're dealing with, and specifically with a young woman that the people could just run up in her home and shoot her to death for no reason, that can't be that. We cannot just allow
If
that
it happened to her, it can
it
happen
can
to any of
definitely
us.
happen. I am Breonna Taylor. And so with that being said, I'm so grateful for your remedies that I have received tonight. Some
Someone
people,
just said Zazol and Mucinex. That's true.
and I'm going
But
to
let me
go
tell you something.
now and
But
use
let me
them.
give you a holistic thing. So there's this thing. It's in the bathroom. I'll tell you about it later. But it's I get this thing when you have post-nasal drip. This is out. This is now
Post-nasal
starting
drip.
yeah. This is now starting ragweed season. I have terrible allergies that bring on asthma, and I take 4 medicines for allergies. So there's this thing with the green cap. It's allergy is holistic, and you take it and it dries it up. It thins it out and dries it up. But there's also this thing my girlfriend told me about. It's called fire cider. Girl, that thing, it smells like the world has come to an end. But let me tell you something. It stops it. It stops it. It's got apple cider vinegar, cayenne pepper, a
Oh, it's
whole
all
bunch
in
of
it.
girl. It makes you it makes you want to holler. You take it. It's like ooh.
Wow.
It in that minute it cleans you out. I don't know what it does. Your tumor is yes yeah. So it cleans you out. So
Send it to me. Send it to me.
I'm gonna take a picture of everything. So you can, if you don't want to go out, you know what to do. Just check for Amazon. They'll send it to you the next day.
Send it to you. Lord have mercy.
So I'm gonna take
Well,
pictures of
I
everything.
love you so much, and I appreciate you for having me on tonight. I was waiting on you to
No,
invite
you
me to
weren't.
come and
No,
be
you
on your
weren't.
live.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Were you really?
I really was. I was like, one day I'll get to go in there and talk to April.
But can I tell you something, Tamika? Nobody believes this. I get really, really shy. I'm like, I
Me
said,
too.
Tamika's so busy. I said, I don't want to bother her. Tamika's so busy.
Yeah. And then you
But
see how I text you and I didn't know who you was. I was like, yeah, we'll talk about it. And then when I realized it was you, I said, oh no, I want to be on with April. No, how could I be so dismissive? I'm so sorry.
And Karen is laughing. I was like, no. And you were like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, ooh, because I was like, listen, she's busy. I don't like bothering people, but you know what?
Me either.
People need to hear. And I so appreciate you, and I thank you for fighting for us. I've got 2 little brown girls who are, because of you and others like that, they're tree huggers, and they out there trying to no justice, no peace. I don't know where they get it from, but they're out there hugging
You do
trees
it
and
every
marching.
day.
Yeah.
You do it every day from 1600. We
Well, I'm
are.
not there right now because of COVID. I'm just being loud from wherever I am.
That's
My
right.
ubiquitously clandestine location.
We are, because you do what you do every single day. You should know that you are a legend, that we got your back. We are April Ryan, and we just love you. You're special. You're very special to us, because no one wants to sit in a space. You don't have to do that. You can go work anywhere you want to go, and you know that. But you sit there and you deal with disrespect, because it is very disrespectful. And it's also disrespect. They stop messing with you a little bit. Now they mess with people around you, but the type of people we are, that bothers us too. We don't want to see anybody be disrespected. So
we don't want anybody disrespected.
that's
And
right.
I think they've left me alone because they don't see me there, and I'm glad. But I'm a still talk. But it's just a matter. But I'm gonna tell you something. The president does not. And people ask who started the fight, you or the president. I didn't start it, because I asked questions. He was like, "How dare she ask me these questions? How dare?" And I'm like, "You're president of the United States.
That's
Everything
right.
comes to the White House from war to peace and everything in between. And what's in between is Breonna Taylor. What's in between is George Floyd. What's in between is Kyle Rittenhouse. What's in between is Portland, Oregon. It's Wisconsin. It's Baltimore. It's
New York.
Charleston, South Carolina. It's New York. It's us. We're that in between.
Yep.
And we gotta call it out. We gotta call a thing
A thing.
Sis, I love you. You take
Love
care of your
you.
mama. You hug her. Give her a hug. If you can hug her, give her a hug for me, and just say, it's gonna be all right. And I'm gonna pray tonight for you. I'm gonna pray
Thank
for
you.
your strength, your fortitude, and your safety. because it's not just about you. You doing this work. You doing God's work for all of us. And I thank you. You putting your life on the line and walking away from family right now to make sure that the Black people, that the community can stand for another day. And we are not Breonna. We are not Eric Garner. We are not Ahmaud Arbery. We are
Thank
not George
God.
Floyd. So I thank you.
Thank God. And thank you, April. Love you. Love you,
Love you.
Karen. See y'all.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Tamika. And tomorrow night, guys, we got Hillary Clinton on. Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State. She ran for president. And you know, it's just interesting. Oh, Karen Boykins Towns, the vice chair of the National Board of the NAACP, said, send donations until freedom to support the work is over. And it's never going to be. So she's at the NAACP. The NAACP is doing yeoman's work. Tamika's doing yeoman's work. Send donations to Tamika's organization, guys. And Hillary Rodham Clinton tomorrow night. And some of you said I look like a fortune teller. Well, my fortune is great. I'm telling you, my fortune is great with this hat, if that's when I'm a fortune teller. But you know what my fortune is to tell? We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. We're going to stop crying. We're going to stop wringing our hands. We're going to get through this. This might be just a little bit of turbulent waters right now, but we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. So Karen Boykins Towns, come to my room, please, because I want to go work out. Let's change our clothes and go work out. Go to the fitness center with me. With that, guys, I'm so excited tomorrow night. Hillary Clinton. Oh! So, but the cause is serious. And tonight, Tamika gave us the great information, her presence, and she gave us information that we needed because the cause is tremendous. And you see from the highest offices, they're trying to change the playing field in front of us. Now, if they're doing it in front of us, you already know. Thank you, Karen, for saying thank you for COVID conversations. I'm glad you're on your way. So Karen is my cousin. I need to go work out. She got me out of the house. I've been in the house for 5 months. 5 months. So, and I started COVID conversations to uplift, inform, and how to. So tonight, I hope you got all that. Tomorrow night, I'm hoping that we do the same. And then on Wednesday, we have actress Alyssa Milano. And then I'm on vacation for a little while. My birthday is Saturday. I turned 53, and I'm excited about that. And pray for me as I pray for you. Peace, guys. Vote. Vote. Call your election supervisors. Call the Board of Election Supervisors in your community. Love you. Bye-bye.